He had nothing. And he still stopped. Most people walked past her. Heads down, headphones in, too busy to care. But this one broke man, a single dad with a beat-up car and a daughter. Waiting at home, he pulled over, and what happened next changed both of their lives in ways neither of them ever saw coming. This is the story of Marcus, a man who did one small thing without expecting anything back. And 2 weeks later, a team of lawyers showed up at his door. Marcus was 34 years old and completely exhausted. He had been a single dad since Lily was 18 months old. Her mother left without much of an explanation, and Marcus made a decision that day. He was not going to fall apart. He was going to show up for his daughter every single day, no matter what it cost him. And it cost him a lot. He worked double shifts at a moving company 3 days a week. The other 4 days, he drove for a rideshare app, sometimes from early morning until midnight. He lived in a small 2-room apartment above a laundromat. The walls were thin, the pipes were loud, and the heating stopped working every January. But there were drawings on the fridge and a small pink backpack by the door, and that was enough to keep him going. He never complained. He just worked. On a Tuesday afternoon in late October, Marcus finished a long shift and was driving home through the older part of the city. It was cold, the kind of cold that makes everything look gray. He was thinking about whether there was anything left in the fridge for dinner when he spotted something on the side of the road. A woman, sitting against a park bench, slumped sideways. Cars were passing. People on the sidewalk were walking around her like she was a piece of furniture. Nobody stopped. Nobody even slowed down. Marcus slowed down. He pulled over, got out, and walked over to her. She was in her mid-60s, well-dressed, one hand pressed against her chest. Her face was pale. She was breathing, but barely. Her eyes were half open and she couldn't speak clearly. Marcus called emergency services immediately. He stayed on the phone with them, kept her calm, held her hand, and told her over and over again that help was on the way, and that she was going to be okay. He had no idea if that was true. He just knew she needed to hear it. When the ambulance arrived, the paramedics told him he had done everything right. They said her condition was serious. They loaded her in and one of them looked back at Marcus and said, "You probably just saved her life." Marcus stood there on the cold sidewalk for a moment. Then he got in his car and drove to pick up Lily. He didn't know the woman's name. He had not thought to ask. He just knew she had been alone and scared, and that he had not been willing to be one of the people who walked past. At the hospital, before leaving, he gave a nurse his phone number. He said if she woke up and wanted someone to know she was okay, they could pass it on. Then he left. Her name was Eleanor Voss. Eleanor had built a logistics company from nothing over 30 years. She had been one of the most influential businesswomen in the region for over a decade. She had hundreds of employees, multiple properties, and a reputation for being sharp, private, and completely self-sufficient. She had also been completely alone for the last several years. Her husband had passed away 6 years earlier. Her children lived abroad. Her days were structured and busy, but her personal life had quietly emptied out in a way that she had never fully led. Herself acknowledged. She kept moving because stopping meant sitting with that silence. The heart attack stopped her completely. Eleanor spent 8 days recovering in the hospital. During that time, she asked her assistant to find out who had called the ambulance. It took 2 days. When her assistant told her it was a rideshare driver who had been passing by, a man named Marcus, Eleanor went quiet for a long time. She asked for everything her assistant could find out. Not in a strange way, in the way someone does, when they are trying to understand something that genuinely surprised them. What surprised her was this. Marcus had stayed with her for almost 40 minutes. He had held her hand. He had talked to her. He had left his number in case she needed anything. And then he had gone home and told nobody. No social media post. No photo, no story, nothing. Eleanor had spent her career surrounded by people who always wanted something. Deals, connections, favors, credit. She had forgotten what it looked like when someone just helped because it was the right thing to do. She made a decision from her hospital bed. 2 weeks after that Tuesday afternoon, there was a knock at Marcus's door on a Saturday morning. Lily was watching cartoons. Marcus opened the door in his sweatpants expecting a delivery. Instead, there was a man in a fitted suit holding a folder and a small white envelope. He introduced himself as Eleanor Voss's attorney. He said Eleanor had asked him to come in person. Marcus had completely forgotten about the woman on the bench. Life had moved on. Shifts, school runs, grocery lists, bedtime routines. He stared at this man for a moment before it even clicked. He opened the envelope first. Inside was a handwritten letter from Eleanor. She wrote that in 40 years of business, she had met very few people who acted without an angle. She said she had been drifting further and further from ordinary life for so long that she had forgotten what real kindness felt like. She said watching Marcus walk away from that hospital, quietly, without waiting, had reminded her of something she thought she had lost. And then the attorney opened the folder. Eleanor had set up a fully funded college trust in Lily's name. Whatever school Lily chose whenever she was ready, it was covered. She had also arranged for Marcus to be enrolled in a logistics management certification program at the local college, with all living expenses covered for the full duration of the course. And she had signed a 12-month lease on a 2-bedroom apartment in a safer part of the city, fully paid. Marcus sat down on the floor, not on a chair, on the actual floor, right there in the hallway. Lily came over and asked him what was wrong, and he pulled her into a hug so tight she yelped and told him to stop squishing her. He laughed. Then he cried. Then he laughed again. He called Eleanor that afternoon. She answered on the second ring. They talked for almost 2 hours. She told him she had been doing a lot of thinking from that hospital bed. She said she had built everything and somehow ended up with very little that actually mattered. Marcus told her that sounded incredibly lonely. She said it was. He asked if she wanted to come over for dinner sometime. She said yes before he finished the sentence. By the following spring, Marcus had completed his first semester with top marks. Lily had a tutor, a new school, and a best friend in the building. And Eleanor had started volunteering at a community health clinic 3 mornings a week, something she admitted she should have done 20 years ago. One evening, Lily asked Marcus why the lady with white hair kept bringing them food. Marcus thought about it. He said, "Sometimes you do something small, and it turns into something bigger than you ever expected. And sometimes that thing turns into family." Lily thought about that for a second and then asked if Eleanor could come to her school play. She came, front row. She brought flowers and cried during the songs and embarrassed Lily completely. It was a perfect night. Marcus did not stop to help Eleanor because he wanted something. He stopped because a person needed help and he was there. That was the whole reason. And somehow that one moment, that one small decision to pull over instead of drive past, built a life he had not even known to wish for. Most people walked past, he didn't.